Mic check, 1, 2, 3, 4. Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Excuse me. Thank you for confirming. Perfect. Good morning, everyone. It's your favorite community manager named Mac here with another edition of Mapmaker Monday. Excited to dive in the build today and continue work on this massive cemetery that has consumed my life. I've actually been making some serious progress the last few streams because these graves are so simple, straightforward, and quick. Just want to make sure the mic's coming through good, audio, music is coming through good, video, everything's clean. Got Kane, we've got Asmodeus, and we've got Atlam. Thank you so much. Confirming audio, video. I'm looking at our other stream platforms now, just making sure they're coming through. I've got TikTok now. I've got that chat feed up and live, which, as always, very reliable. Trying to see if the stream is working. Oh, there it is right away. So we've got pretty much all the major platforms good to go. And I see chat is coming through from Twitter and YouTube. So we're good. We are good across the board. Thank you so much, everyone, for helping for the confirmation. Let's get into it. So welcome back to Mapmaker Monday. Hey, Ron Amok, how you doing? My name is Mac. I am the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. Dungeon Alchemist is a map-making utility that is available on Steam that allows you to build impressive maps for your tabletop campaigns. This map is quite an extensive build, started several months back, and it is essentially a massive cemetery that has been taking shape slowly but surely. As you see here, we have an entrance, pond, gated area, kind of the first set of graves, some parking, cathedral here with a multi-story bell tower. This was added before multi-level was even a thing in Dungeon Alchemist. You could see this is a legacy map, so I made this by hand, illustrating that it's possible to add multi-level in old maps with a little bit of patience and ingenuity. How you been, Ron Amok? What you been up to? In fact, let's ask everyone, how are you doing today? How was your weekend? How was your weekend? Now that we're starting into the week, how is your week going? Hope your work week is off to a great start. Continuing on with the tour of the map, we've got this lovely garden that I kind of built out and paved by a hand. This map is honestly so massive. It's like 85 by 82, I think is the size. Yeah, 85 by 82. And a map this large, I mean, could be used in a lot of ways over several sessions, or you could have a massive combat kind of spread across all of this, or some intrigue sessions, or maybe your players attend a funeral here and then come back later for other reasons, you know, any number of things. Hey, Techno Vibe. How you doing? Welcome. No internet access caused you to not have D&D? That's a bummer. Usually the biggest bad of all is, you know, scheduling conflicts, but, you know, tech or, you know, something like that getting in the way, also big bummer. So I was toying around with a gigantic map and noticed the overlay feature has a limited size scaling feature. I was not aware it had a limited size. I'm assuming if you start with a really, really small image and you start scaling it up, it's going to lose some quality beyond a certain point, you know, and the lines would get so big that they would end up being like walls. So it may not be practical to scale beyond a certain point. That might have been the initial thought if they did lock it. That being said, not sure. Huh. How big is the image initially? Like, what is the resolution of the image? Like, width by height pixels. Half Ogre, how you doing? Welcome back. So just a heads up for everyone watching, we are live on multiple platforms right now. Today is a multi-stream where we're live on Twitch, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Steam. So I'm monitoring multiple chats, all of these different platforms simultaneously. So if you have a question, feedback on the map, suggestions for Dungeon Alchemist development, questions about our future development, anything like that, let me know during the stream and I will do my best to address it. Kane, honestly, like, I have not run into that, but I believe it could be an issue. So I trust you. What I would recommend is jumping into our Discord, spin up a thread in the Discord. Essentially, in the support forum saying, hey, I noticed this issue, and maybe we can address it in like a hot fix or a later update. I didn't realize there was limitations to it, but one thing you can consider is putting that photo in a photo editor and scaling it down there first, and then taking it in to the overlay. Not 100% certain if that would work or not, to be honest with you. No, I think it would, because if you scale it down first in a photo editor and then bring it in, it'll be smaller to begin with, making it much easier to work with. That's a good approach too. That could work. So the real question is, should I try and keep the graves parallel with each other so they're running kind of the same direction, even though the fence isn't? And then I just kind of squeeze them into that space. So the graves are always kind of like running parallel. So they're nice and even. If I turn them, they'll be like weird angles to each other. I mean, if you bring it up in the support forum, though, we can track the issue and try and investigate it and see if we can even address it. It could just be an oversight, you know, maybe we never thought anyone would try to scale an image from that large to that small. Honestly, when it comes to development choices like that, it's often either they feel like there isn't a need for it or it's just an oversight. So right now, I'm essentially just trying to continue adding graves to this section. Here, in here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I've got 6 right there, so I should just spread them out. That's what I'm gonna do. I didn't realize I'm gonna squeeze in an extra one. This grave is an amazing new asset that was added in this most recent update. And essentially what it does is it allows you to, when you generate a new grave, every time you, before you place it, it shifts through hundreds of permutations. Almost every time you press it, it's a different variation of the grave set. Different headstone, different base stone, sometimes exposed, sometimes not. Yeah, exactly. They often will put them in where they have room, and you know, graves are varying in sizes and length. By the way, many objects can do this. They're called variants. If you find an object that's like pre-decorated, for instance, like a table, lots of furniture, desks, etc., are like this. If you press tab, you can shift through the permutations. We do this, we'll pre-decorate the objects that are part of the room generation. So if it puts multiple instances of this same object, it's different each time. I would assume, you know, as you jump through the levels using the overlay tool, that you're going to have a different overlay for each level. Like a different layer for each level. One nice thing is you can have multiple layers of overlays and just make them invisible or, you know, transparent while you're working on another one. So you could have them all, you know, on there and then just make the ones you're not currently using transparent. Cryoman, how you doing? Welcome, welcome. Nice. I think that looks. So, did anyone get any tabletop gaming in this weekend? Any D&D, any Pathfinder, anything? Starfinder? I'd love to hear about it if you did. Let's discuss. I am wonderful, thank you for asking. We're building a cemetery. Massive, massive cemetery complex, and it has been a daunting task, but it's fun. Upcoming weekend? That's cool, Half Ogre. My next session, I believe, is on the 10th, which I'm very excited for. Caves of... Nice, that sounds fun. So notice if you hold shift when you place an object, like a grave or any object really, it'll automatically duplicate it. So if you're placing lots of the same object in an area, i.e. gravestones like I am here, it will save you a tremendous amount of time on the back end. Because you don't have to, you know, constantly just press the plus or grab it from the object menu. Once in a while, you may have to click that plus button. You're kind of adjusting things. Otherwise, though, for the most part, you're good. I think that looks great. I think I'm going to do maybe 2. Making some progress already. So I think I'm going to do another like kind of back-to-back headstone thing like these. Put some more behind it and then continue the fence along this axis. Nice, Cryoman. Are you playing as a player or are you DMing? Let's hear about it. First sessions are always fun. And I know they could be a little bit intimidating because, you know, it's something new and there's a lot to it. By the way, we had a follow just a few minutes ago. It was Sparkler. Sparkler, thank you so much for the follow. Much appreciated. If you're still here, thank you, thank you. Notice that right away. I feel bad. My intention. Ugh, my body's so sore. I'm sure no one cares, but like yesterday was like a day off for me, so I spent a lot of time working on things around the house that kind of got neglected in the lead up to the last update. So I was doing tons of yard work and just tasks that had been kind of delayed for some time. And I am just worn out from it. I was out in the sun all day. The Vegas heat is not forgiving. That's awesome, Cryoman. What do you have a character all picked out and character sheet made and whatnot, or is your DM giving you characters for the session? Highland Lass, welcome back. How are you? Good afternoon to you. It's actually very much morning for me, but I get it. It's afternoon for you. How's things going for the lovely Highland Lass? Why is it when I'm facing this way and have them, they don't... Oh, weird. Like, this one always is rotating, but earlier they didn't. What is going on here? Does it depend which one you do it from? Like, it applies random rotation all of a sudden? Huh. It is weird. Why is it all of a sudden doing that? I did take a peek at it, my man. I watched it for a few minutes. We need to chit-chat for sure. I've just been kind of swamped with things, both on the home front and the work side of things, so I apologize for not reaching out to you. Hey, Barry, how you doing? Oh, no worries, Half Ogre. It happens, my man. I'm trying to figure out why sometimes these graves rotate and other times they don't. See, look, right now, no rotation. It's fine, right? Wondering if anyone has experienced this before. Yeah, I skimmed over it and watched a few bits throughout it. You know, I like to jump through and see different things. Especially because I feel like watching, you know, just one 5-minute block or a 10-minute block in the very beginning often stream or content doesn't have time to wind up, you know what I mean? Usually towards the middle or the end, things get a little interesting. See, now it's not rotating. Hey, Stormy, what's up? I'm good, and yourself? Hey, Anani, cool, that's awesome. I wonder if it's because it's close enough to something else it won't allow it to rotate. Like here. Nope. That is so random. I don't understand it whatsoever. Thunderstorms, oh no. I'm glad they fixed your map, Anani. That's awesome. It's always kind of like a worry if they'll be able to fix maps or not, but I'm glad they did it, you know? You can hear the trash side. It is quite loud. Trash day. And I had a pile of recycling I had to deal with, like cardboard boxes and other things that I had to break down before I threw it away. It took me like 2 hours yesterday. Interesting. So wait, just having it on the map hurt the map? Is there an additional cost? Hey Donk, by the way, welcome. To allow me to make and export maps for use in a published campaign book. There is not. Okay, so how that works is what you'd like, if you want more like technical and legalese for that, Article 4.1 of our terms and conditions on our website kind of outlines this in great detail. But the long and the short of it is, if you are creating maps for profit, i.e. commission or Patreon or a campaign module or a book, whatever, that's totally fine. We have no problem with that. There's 2 things you just need to be aware of. The first is make sure that you're only using, assets that you like are stock assets or assets you've created. If you start downloading third-party assets from the workshop, you don't necessarily own the rights to those. You own the rights to use them for creative use, but not for resale, right? So there's kind of a weird, you're not really supposed to use those assets for resale, right? Additionally, you don't want to use anyone else's maps, that kind of stuff. So as long as they're all original creations, using stock assets or your own assets, then you can resell them. And as long as you don't surpass $100,000 a year in, I believe, what is it? Sorry, it's been a long time since I've looked at this, but it's $100,000 a year in profit from the maps or the project itself. The whole, your annual revenue, whatever. If you don't surpass that, then you don't need to worry. If you do surpass that, you need what is called a commercial license. So essentially, you can get a commercial license from us that protects you if you surpass that. And basically what that commercial license is we realize that, you're using Dungeon Alchemist to sell and you're surpassed a certain level. And we just want to make sure that you have the correct, licensing for the output you're doing and you're good going forward. Sorry, it's a little early for me. It's only 9:30, so I'm a little bit off at the moment as I wake up. Donk, I hope that answers your question, but you definitely want to check out Article 4.1 of our Terms and Service. Hey, Barry, I'm glad you're here, and no worries. It happens. Sometimes we can stay a long time, sometimes we can't. I'm just glad you made it. Got kind of a base there. Come on, man. I guess if you move the grave a little bit, it no longer rotates. Just trying to find the pattern for that. TikTok, thank you for the likes. Much appreciated. How you doing today? Okay. On the line here. This fence is there. Any luck, these should continue running parallel to each other. Ooh. Oh no, they do not. Guess here I did something. They do. Okay, I see what. These are not lined up with each other. I don't know why I did that. Wondering why it wasn't lining up no matter what I did. I have a city in my homebrew world that's an enchanted forest. The city is made up of treehouse style buildings and mansions. Is there a way to layer it so they're like up in the trees? Yeah, our most recent update added multi-level and stuff like that. So technically you could build a house in the trees. You'd have to get a little creative. I can't really demonstrate it in this map because this map was started before the update, so it's considered a legacy build. But essentially you would put like a tree that would match your aesthetic, right? Let's say you use like a pine tree, right? Ewok village style, right? You get the tree kind of set up, and then you would generate a structure that's like probably just a single block that is nothing here, and you'd keep going up, 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 up until it's in the trees, and then you would make a house pop out in the tree. The problem is the tree has canopy, so it would overlay like a lot of it. So you probably want to raise the tree up a bit until like the house is on this portion, so it's not completely buried by it. Does that make sense? Way to layer it so they're up in the trees. That's probably the only way to do it. But basically, with the new update, you can start with like a single square build, right? And you put the first level, build on top of it, build on top of it, build on top of it. This is essentially just kind of like a false pillar intended to be the basis of the tower of the tree. And when you get up to the level you want, essentially it's just like a square at the base that you could cover with like brush or something. You generate a room that has nothing. It's just like flooring, and it just goes up and up and up and up. Or actually probably even nothing. Anyway, long story short, it would go up to a certain level, and then you could put like a tree house there. I believe the demo does have multi-level now, yeah. Though it would be kind of tricky to do that without watching me do that first. Let me save this map, and then we'll open another map. Save twice. I really love D&D. Is Dungeon Alchemist basically like Roll20? Dungeon Alchemist is a map-making tool that is compatible with Roll20, Ruzy. Anyway, so essentially what it does is you make a map in Dungeon Alchemist, and then you export it for Roll20 or any virtual tabletop that you choose, or for print or for a virtual tabletop, however you decide to play. You make the map here and then you export it for Roll20. So I actually play in a game where the DM uses maps made in Dungeon Alchemist and then exports them and uses it in Roll20. So our maps include, when you export them, they include line of sight information, walls, windows, doors, lighting, all that stuff is included in the export. As long as you're a plus member or higher on Roll20, you can take advantage of their like module / script service, their plugins or whatever. So you would import the map as an image, and then the data is a script that you plug into chat, and then it includes all the information for the walls, windows, doors, line of sight, and stuff. So it's a big time saver in that regard. By the way, welcome to the stream. If you have any other questions, let me know. There are wall assets that are like tree logs, right? They work pretty good. If you look under wood, there's some natural looking ones that are essentially like a log on its side, like a cabin. There's also the woven wood, like the wicker looking ones that are pretty nice. That could be the inside, so it looks like thatch. Are you talking about our price Wi-Fi? That's a one-time fee for a lifetime license. No monthly garbage. You own the product forever, and that includes all future updates and patches and the like until we leave early access. And then continued support for hot fixes and patches beyond that. Essentially, instead of a monthly or something where you pay for it and don't own it for life, it's a much better business model. Now, that being said, I can understand how 50 can be a little high for something, but I personally, I know many people in our community who have spent, full price on Dungeon Alchemist and have put hundreds of thousands of hours into it and gotten every penny out of it. We actually just put out a major update 18 days ago, so just over 2 weeks ago. It included multi-level and roofing. What's up, Guafa? Yeah, you can round walls, Dan. Okay, I'm gonna save really quick, y'all, and we'll open up a map so we can show how I would approach this. Go to forest. Grab us a generated. So I would probably use the cabin because that's most likely to just have a neat like wood. But honestly, at this point, you don't even need the base part. What I was planning on doing is having it float in the air. So if you wanted something to be circular, you just grab on these little corners here. But in order for it to be circle, it needs to be a minimum of a 2x2. You could grab these little circle pieces and rotate it into a circle. But that's the smallest the circle could be, right? So using the method I mentioned, I can understand your concern, my friend. So watch where I'm starting here. And I'm going to kind of scale this tree up to work more to our needs, right? Bring it up to about that height. Though I would say it's probably just better to use the treehouse we offer. Hold on. Why isn't it coming up under treehouse? There it is. We do have a treehouse that's pretty cool already. That's like a prefab. pretty nice. But if you wanted to build one custom right here, see how I have this floor, the base? We'll cover that up with shrubs later. For now, though, I'm going to go up a level. That would be the roof of this building that I just generated, right? I'm going to just keep generating on top of that. Let's generate with it. Go up another level. You can see that's like the third floor. I'm going to generate that as a floor. And I mean, at this point, technically, I could just build this out if I wanted to, right? I'm going to move the tree. We could put it back in there later. So now let's do like a full structured cabin here, right? And I'll make it round at this point. So this is the center of it. We could have it kind of like rounded around that center point if I really wanted to. Not a perfect round, but you get the idea. Or ovoid. So essentially, what I'm doing here is I'm making a floating structure, right? And then you put the tree in the center of it. But the problem is this tree is always going to overburden this like a ton. You're going to have to scale it up to a point that basically it buries that bottom portion. Now it's just part of that. You have 2 licenses? Bill, no. Honestly, you know, one thing I can tell you if you're kind of interested in it but haven't, watch for the sales, you know, Bill? We have Dungeon Alchemist on sale pretty regularly. Like, we were just on sale for about 4 weeks. The sale went off on the 24th. It ended. But we typically are in like every major holiday or like seasonal sale. So we'll likely be in the, you know, the like the fall sale and the winter sale. So just keep in, you know, stay tuned, keep it on your wish list. And when we go on sale, that'll be the best price you can get. The graveyard's not done. We just stepped over to kind of teach how to make a treehouse. Now, the thing is I can go up another level and this has a roof, right? I could just use that. Or I could keep going up if I wanted to and build on top of this. Let's have a little piece that comes out like this in the corner. Make it a little rounded or like an angled piece, right? We'll generate that. You could have like terraces coming out from the treehouse. You could definitely do it a lot easier than before now. It just is, it takes some time and some practice. Isn't that pretty cool though? Definitely got that treehouse vibe. So the key, like I said before, is generating that first level as just like a floor, right? So you start on the base level, generate that one little nub, and then just bury it with a tree or some shrubs or, you know, something later. You can grab some of these bushes, put them on top of there, kind of make them oversized around the base of the tree. So it helps cover it up so it's never even visible, even when the tree's not visible. Go up a level. Honestly, that tree buries it most of the time, so it's not even a big deal. But you get the idea. Then you start going up and then it starts appearing and showing you all the different parts. But you can definitely do the kind of Ewok hut style. Hey, Forgotten Death, how you doing? Well, make sure you wish list it and check out the demo so you can at least try it now. And in the demo, you can use this forest biome. You can try out multi-level, and you can even export the map for print or virtual tabletop. You just can't save it or access like our Steam Workshop or anything like that. Twitchy sauce. Stairs would be tricky. You would have to have a floor on the bottom level somewhere connecting up to it at some point. So pretty much what you would do is probably like, you could probably even do a spiral stair going up this, right? Connecting to it somehow. Or a ladder is an ideal solution, or just a rope hanging down or something like that. Anyway. So essentially you would have to have like a bit of structure down on level 1 for the stairs to be placed. So right here, we've got all this, right? We could, in essence, surround this or make it just a little bit bigger. I want to let it add. Making it, you know, just a little bit bigger. So that's the base platform of the tree now, so we'll definitely need to bury it. But with something like this, you could grab a staircase from, say, structural. You got all these neat wooden ones that if you have a little structure off to the side leading up, you could use it. Or you could grab one of the spiral ones. Just looking to see if one a little bit more. Something like this goes up, and then at each level you would have another floor that it connects to and just keep going up and up and up until it gets to that top level. Keep in mind, you're going to have to use like the roofing tool every once in a while to erase this weird little roof crop. But yeah, you could probably get something to work eventually if you play around with it. Maybe the spiral stair isn't the right choice, but you'd have like a little platform of land over here, right? And that would be where a stair goes, and then another one above, and then another one above. Essentially, there has to be a room for a stair to be adhered or placed at this time. So it has to be on a floor somewhere, right? This one could even work rather well. Heck, we could even make this all like grass floor. Do something natural so it kind of fits in. Or it just could look like padded earth. Or grass, whatever. Then as you go up each level, you'll need another floor for this to attach to, and then when you get up to the top, it then goes into the house, right? So if this was one level below, it would work. Yeah, there are a couple of different huts too, objects that are just prefab. Structural construction. There is the swamp hut, there is the treehouse, and then there's the wandering hut. Also, the shed works pretty good. Oh, there's the teapot. There's some tents. Al, this is Dungeon Alchemist. It's a map-making tool. For tabletop games like Dungeons and Dragons. So it allows you to build interactive maps that you can use for your sessions. Anyway, let's get back to the map I was making that I've demonstrated this. And I was out working in my yard for like a few hours yesterday, and I got eaten alive by mosquitoes. Oh, by the way, Cryoman and Sensei James, thank you for the follows. Sorry I didn't notice those right away. My bad. I do have to say that these new graves have really sped up my workflow. Just makes it so much easier to place things because they're automatically a new variation of themselves every time. Saves me a tremendous amount of headache. I think I'm going to put a statue there. Which statue, though? Do the knight on a kind of big. Shrink him down. It is indeed, Mosey. How you doing? Welcome back. How's things for you? Seven graves. I'll probably only be able to fix on the top here. You threw a birthday party for a 75-year-old yesterday, and now I feel 75. Dang, that must have been some party. If you can avoid canceling it, I think your players would be so happy, but I understand if you have to. It's life sometimes. Man, I am proud of our party. We haven't had one player miss a session yet in 9 months. I think it goes to show that we've got some good party chemistry and also just really engaging story going on. Seems like every group I've been a part of in the past, there was always like one player every session or every time we'd go to meet up that couldn't. Though I do think a lot of the success can be attributed to the fact, I mean, obviously we're all friends and know each other outside of the game, but there isn't a stress on one of us being the DM and having to worry about the session prep constantly because we hired a professional. And then additionally, we only play once a month, so each of us are chomping at the bit to play when the time comes. Currently, there isn't an alignment tool, but there is a grid tool you can activate, so you have like measurements and stuff like that. But I'm kind of freehanding this to make it feel more like natural, or like not natural, but like kind of made over time instead of like, and also man-made and like not necessarily perfectly curated. You know what I mean? It's an ancient cemetery after all. So some of it's going to be like, hey, we just put stuff where it'll fit kind of vibe. That being said, I built a lot of this off grid because I was trying to challenge myself. Some of it's on the grid and then some of it's off. Like you notice here, a little bit off the grid. So I'm going to have to improvise. But you can enable the grid with Alt-G is a hotkey, or under the settings menu, you can change the quality or like the transparency. You can change the color of the grid, the different colors to a little, you know, match your feel better. And you can either render the grid on top of everything or render it under items, and on top of the terrain. And then lastly, you could switch it between square and hex. The hex grid can be resized too, so you could scale it down or up. There is also a snapping tool that helps tremendously, Cryoman. So if you hold control, or if you have collisions on, most objects will snap automatically. If you have collisions off, you have to hold control for it to do it. The collisions being disabled essentially allows you to merge objects together, scale them infinitely up and down, raise them up and down. I usually build with collisions off so I have more freedom. But yeah, let's say I wanted this exactly opposite of the other one. It is kind of tricky at this point, but there is a snapping tool to get it to snap into certain positions. So technically, I could make one, rotate it, flip it around, and then it would be mirrored to a degree, right? So if you need some symmetry, there is tools to allow it, but it is kind of based on how you build too. So me, I kind of shot myself in the foot by doing this by hand this way. But at the same time, it's a fun challenge. Tabstar, I didn't make the software. I'm on the team. I'm the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. By the way, my name is Mac. Nice to meet you. We are an indie team. We have, 3-4 developers, a handful of artists, a couple administration, and myself as community. I do, however, have a lot of input on development because Hey, Eric, thank you. Much appreciated. How are you doing, my friend? I essentially, gather community input, notes, surveys, etc., from the stream, social media, and then I pass that on to the devs, collect community notes on bugs and other, feedback, suggestions, etc. Additionally, I help with testing and community outreach and other things. So I do have kind of my hand on the pulse with things. Though, it's definitely above my pay grade to make a lot of the final decisions. So I would say I'm involved in the development as much as a community manager could be. Oh, was that the Battle Royale, man? Dang. How did it go? I just want to make sure people understand I'm not actually developing stuff. You know what I mean? But when you have feedback, I often take notes and take it to the devs when I have meetings with them or when I can share it with them. Oh man, 7 hours until someone got eliminated? That's insane. So Tabstar, the name of the software is Dungeon Alchemist, just like the channel. You can find us on Steam. We have a free demo, and these streams, we offer several streams per week, 3 streams per week, where you can tune in and follow along with builds or see community shared maps and 3D models. And all the streams are essentially AMA format, which means ask me anything. So I'm kind of like Professor Mac. You can tune in anytime, ask questions about map making relative to Dungeon Alchemist, or if you have, concerns, feedback, or you're curious about our development, whatever. Tune in, ask your questions, and I will do my best to provide you with support. A lot of Eric's sessions are recorded for the most part. I feel like our game with Eric is one of the few that isn't recorded, or like it is recorded, but it's not public. Speaking of, Eric is the GM I was talking about earlier. I feel like maybe he was lurking when I said that, so. You came in like almost immediately after I talked about the game, so I feel like you heard me talking about you. Your nose was itching. A long video. Yeah, when a stream is that long, when you upload it to like YouTube, for instance, or a third party, the upload and verification can take hours. Okay, so it takes like, for, an 8-hour video, to upload it takes hours and hours, and then the verification process for copyright and stuff just takes so long. Honestly, dude, you came in like a moment after I said it, so that's too funny. Basically, I was telling the crew here how our group has been having a lot of fun, and I've been impressed with the fact that none of us have like missed a session yet. And I said, I think it's a testament to, our group chemistry, but also to the fact that we enjoy the gameplay and the storytelling. Tabstar, yes, you can change the interior walls. Walls are essentially split into 2 portions. There's an exterior portion and an interior portion, and you can change them all of the wall or just one slide of the wall. We have a wall tool here where you can paint all the walls in a room, change just a section, change or place new walls, etc. Remove walls. And there's hundreds of wall options: stone, wood, plaster, metal, natural, rock, half walls, fences, banisters, ruins, etc. Let's say I wanted a portion that looked like it was broken, right? Select change wall on this one portion. Maybe I only want it on one side, right? To be wood. Weird. Let's see here. I know you can do half and half. Something's up. Yeah, see here? I was in the wrong tool. So notice how it's split. One side is that stone and the other side's this. Technically, I could do that and have like wood on the inside here. The outside would be stone. So you could have a whole one side lined with wood or, you know, whatever if you want. Yes, this particular map is a legacy map that I started before our most recent update that includes roofing and multi-level. Unfortunately, this one does not support roofing because it's a legacy map. So yeah, if you bought a copy of Dungeon Alchemist today and started making a map, it would support roofing. You can jump between levels with a little plus or an up and down button here, or using the plus and minus key, and then it essentially adds a roof automatically to the first floor, or you can stack a building on top of the existing floor and keep going up to make it multi-level. You can also place objects, and there's an object repository built into Dungeon Alchemist of like several thousand. It's like 6,000 plus objects. In addition to that, there's an object repository of over 10,000 objects shared by our community on Steam Workshop that you can browse right within Dungeon Alchemist. With maps, there's over 12,000 maps shared by our community that you can browse and download and just use right away, or make edits to and make it kind of fit your needs. If you look in the Steam Workshop, you can look on Steam itself, but a lot of the new maps that have been coming out all have like roofing options or multi-level. People have been really taking advantage of it. Towers and crazy like swamp huts and guild halls and taverns and multi-levels starting to pop off on the workshop. Look at this little bridge town. So someone was asking like a few weeks ago if it'd be possible to do like a bridge, like the London Bridge type thing. You know how it used to have like bridge cities, you know, or like little bridge apartments. So yes, there is Tabstar. You can upload work assets using the asset importer right here. So you can open this and import 3D models. You can import STL, FBX, or GLTF files. Atlan, can you link Tabstar to our wiki info about that really quickly? And then next, as far as making your own textures, you can't do it in the wall tool currently, but we do have objects that are custom called abstract objects. These are essentially, you know, floor textures, walls. So this is a customizable wall. It's a blank slate, right? You can insert an image into it that wraps around it like a texture map and creates a custom wall. Just to give an example, hold on. Here's a custom door made using a texture map. But you could do walls as well. So it has this icon here. If you click it, it opens our web page, which has a bunch of templates. These are all graphics templates. They're all the same size, 1024 pixels wide by 1024 pixels tall. But inside of each of these is different kind of green areas that I would be considered safe space. Or like, imagine you're using a stencil and you're drawing on a piece of paper, but only a portion of the stencil allows ink to get through, or paint, right? This would be the portion that allows ink to get through, but it is a kind of flattened out 3D image. So imagine if you had like a cereal box or a square, a cube, and you opened it up and flattened it out. This is what it would look like. You have the top of the cube, the bottom of the cube, the sides. So you would decorate each of these in your image editor to be an appropriate match, and then you apply it to that image or to that abstract object and make custom walls, custom floor tiles, custom whatever. You could technically upload pixel textures to those, or you could import 3D models with pixelized textures. So another thing community members have done is import 3D models to the workshop that are like a wall, right? So here's like some flesh walls that were shared, fangs, different stone walls and things that aren't currently available in Dungeon Alchemist. If you're uploading assets to the workshop, they're 3D files. If you're using this here, you can use PNG or JPEG. But I would recommend PNG because when you're looking at this, right, this icon over here, all of this around this green area should be negative, dead, transparent space. Technically, it doesn't have to be blank. But if it's blank, it's just easier for you. You only really want to fill in these areas, right? Anyway, is there plans for sci-fi assets in the future after we leave early access and have delivered on all our stretch goals from Kickstarter, all our promises and whatnot from Kickstarter? We do, in fact, plan to offer optional expansions. How those would work is essentially give you an option to purchase a expansion pack that would add to Dungeon Alchemist's existing, array of tools. So it would give you essentially, let's say, like 10 to 20 new environmental biomes, probably 40 or 50 room types, hundreds of thousands of new objects, new doors, windows, walls, floors that all fit, let's say, a sci-fi aesthetic or a cyberpunk aesthetic. So that would be, an optional add-on that you could purchase for, say, a nominal fee, let's say $20. That's just a guesstimate. But that would give you all that add-on content and then just plug it into the existing Dungeon Alchemist architecture. You can change the camera to all sorts of views, but primarily our exports are for top down, either in a flattened or kind of a 3D perspective. I'm assuming when you mean 2.5, are you referring to like isometric? So there's this cinematic tool. So the cinematic tool, when you open it, it allows you to angle the camera like a drone, and you can essentially fly it around and do whatever you want. You could get whatever angle you want. You could get down on the ground and look up for like neat screenshots. That sun is massive. Am I crazy or does it feel bigger now? And yes, I was going to point out that people are already making sci-fi maps using assets that have been shared on the workshop. There's like dozens of sci-fi maps and hundreds of thousands of sci-fi objects. But you have this cinematic camera. You also have token cameras. So if you place a token on the map, you can click on this eyeball. The icon is what I call it. And then you can walk around your map. You can also resize the token to scale it appropriately for your map if you prefer it to be different stuff. Honestly, yeah, it looks like it's in like death mode, dude. That is a massive sun. Why is it so big? It's still live for me. I see it. That's weird. Atlam, I still see Steam just fine. Oh man, did I really make these where I can't walk on them? They're just like a skosh too tall. That's insane. Well, I'm gonna have to fix that later. Probably should fix it now. I'm just like saying the sun seems insanely huge. Whoa! When you go into this camera, it's like massive. Here, let's flip it to nighttime. I mean, yeah, obviously the moon's smaller as a satellite, but I mean, it's shockingly distant, like insanely like bright and huge. I'm gonna point that out to the devs. I wonder if they scaled it up. Man, what happened here? I thought I could walk over these before. I know I tested these. Like, I know I did. Oh, that's right. It deleted them and I redid them like a week ago or two. Have you tried a different browser or within Steam itself? I'll be honest though, Steam only has one viewer. It's possible the stream crashed over there. Huh. No, when I refreshed it, I don't have it anymore. Interesting. Yeah, it's gone. Weird. Huh. Oh well, happens. Happens to the best of us. Huh. Let me look at this really quick. It's probably just Steam. Sometimes their stream service just goes kaput. Happens. Oh well. Okay. Just keep adding great. No worries. Honestly, if that happens to you in the future, just let me know right away. But sometimes the multi-stream feed crashes on my end for like one of the feeds, or you know, Steam could have a hiccup and then it's like, oh, the stream's over, and it thinks it's over when it's not. Does that make sense? No big deal though. It's not the end of the world. We'll survive. We'll thrive. Okay, let's see. Moment of truth. Can a token walk on that? That first one. There's tons of lighting options. Man, is there like a collider blocking me now? I cannot walk on this. That's so weird. I could have sworn I could. So you have several lighting options. First, you have time of day, right? So you can change between like morning, afternoon, evening, night really quickly. And then you have the advanced lighting options, which you could put like light filters to, you know, make an area feel like a totally different realm or, you know, different aesthetic. You can adjust the brightness and time of day and the location of the light. And then lastly, we have these tools called abstract lights, where you can place lights on your map that are invisible either through the viewing tools. The light they cast remains, but the light housing is invisible. So when you're in, say, this first person view, that light isn't there, but the light it sheds remains. You can add like invisible lights to areas to add extra brightness when maybe the candle is all you want there, but it's not bright enough. Okay. Keep stacking graves. What do you mean being blocked on a staircase? Can you elaborate on that? One's lined up with. I want to try. Would that be fun? Maybe rotate one of these. Dungeon Alchemist's terms and conditions outlines information for that, but if you plan to use it for commercial purposes, as long as you don't surpass 100,000 in annual net income, I believe, then you do not need to worry about any special licensing. But once you surpass that, you need a commercial license, which you can reach out to our team and we can go over the information for that when the time comes. So just scale down your token a little bit, my man. Seems like the tokens are a legacy item that wasn't, necessarily built around multi-level, so some of them may not perfectly fit in the staircases. Tabstar, by the way, it's a map making tool, and you export the maps as like a 2D image, or you take images. But Atlam, plenty of people still use Dungeon Alchemist for game development. I've seen it used for JRPGs where they design like entire backgrounds, right? And then they'll take a screenshot and then they'll put their own art on it. So they use Dungeon Alchemist to set up background shots like this, where they put a character in front of it. So it's possible to be used for game development, just it doesn't export as a 3D object or an engine export, so it can't be used for 3D game development, but it can definitely be used in creative ways for game development. I've seen it at least 3 or 4 different games. One of them was like a choose your own adventure type using Dungeon Alchemist backgrounds and tokens is like the options for it. Another one was a JRPG where it had like their hand-drawn characters that would move through environments that were set up using Dungeon Alchemist and the camera tools as different environments. And then another one that was a top-down using Dungeon Alchemist top-down to move their characters through like a dungeon, kind of like Link or like Zelda, old school Zelda. Honestly, Tabstar, it's kind of a case-by-case basis. I've never dealt with anything like that. So you'd probably, if you surpassed 100,000, even if 50% of it was charity, then you'd probably want to talk to us. I mean, it's not, we don't really care about your tax status. If 100,000 was brought in from it, then 100,000 was brought in from it. Does that make sense? So that being said, though, just remember, if you think you're bringing in enough to consider a commercial license, just reach out to us. And like I said, our terms and conditions on our website has all the contact information and everything you need regarding that, including outlined legal info and an email for contact. lined up so I don't like run out of space. The other thing I could do is do like a walkway through one of these and get rid of one of the graves. Right, Rev? So this particular object is I think it's actually aligned with Euro, so whatever, I believe it's Euros is what the license is outlined in. Tabstar, like I said, you'll want to reach out through our... Can you give him the link for that? Thank you very much, so he could read over it. There's a contact email in there. You can reach out to us and ask questions galore related to that. Yeah, we did. We did add it, DTR Music. Hope you're enjoying it. Thank you for the follow. Much appreciated. Rev, thank you for the like. We're making some progress here. Look at all these graves. Rev, I bet you that's convenient, huh? Less doom scrolling, more damn scrolling, right? Hey, Houston Beer and Pretzel. Wargaming, how you doing? I love your name. It gives me every time. But Pretzel, what's new with you? So I'm hoping we get more improvement for the recording tools over time. One thing I can say, DTR, is one thing I like to do personally is I actually use external recording tools, and I like to like hide the UI, for instance. So I'll use like OBS or Streamlabs to record using, you know, higher bit rate and higher FPS, and you know what I mean? So you can kind of pick a little bit more quality options. Now, that being said, it's not always an optimal thing. And I understand that you can't always do that or use it for everything because the camera isn't like unlimited like it would be in the, say, the cinematic camera. It's different angles in the cinematic or first person cameras. I've been asking the devs for like an advanced menu for these cameras where you could either you know, increase their FPS or resolution or bit rate, or maybe even guide them through like a wireframe where they follow like a set path on a time, like a time interval or something. I don't know. That being said, it's probably going to be a while before we implement those kind of things, mainly because they're more focused on the map making than they are on the capture tools at the moment. And I think with time, the capture tools should get improvements. Another thing I'd really love to see is when you're in like cinematic or first person modes, is to use those cameras, but then hide the UI in them so you could use external recording tools. But trust me, you're talking to the choir when it comes to bettering the recording options within Dungeon Alchemist. I mean, I do a lot of recording for Dungeon Alchemist. I make lots of videos and lots of screenshots, and do lots of stuff where it would be a lot easier on me if I had more advanced tools within Dungeon Alchemist, right? And I hope I don't crash this map. So what I would like is to have the freedom of this camera, but to hide the UI, so I could just disable it with like there may be another, you know, like a UI option that says F10 to hide UI or something, and then it hides it, and then I can record in this mode, or I can fly around freely but use an external camera, which gives me, or an external capture, which gives me more control over the quality, but then I have freedom to move it around much better. I will say this camera does have some hidden controls that haven't been added to the tutorial menu. Like shift speeds it up, for instance. You can go a lot faster. So there are like some limited controls. And then I find, you know, practicing with it, you can do some things that you wouldn't even anticipate. There's that. Trying to figure out how to rotate it. I swear there's a way you can push the buttons and it'll like rotate in a perfect circle if you do it just right. So we do have 4 skyboxes built into Dungeon Alchemist: morning, afternoon, evening, and night. In my opinion, the night skybox is the most impressive because the night sky is very diverse. Whereas like the day sky, there's no clouds, it's just a big blue sky. The night sky is pretty impressive. Though I will say this, if you're not aware of it, if you go to the asset browser within Dungeon Alchemist, right here, this links up to Steam Workshop. You can type skybox, and creators in our community have shared, you know, a couple dozen skyboxes already. And the new thing that they're doing, Asmodeus, Bearsoft, a few different creators, they're making them be kind of like a one-way mirror. So from the outside, you can look in unobscured, but from the inside, you can't see out. It's very interesting. So you could take one of these, right? Let's say you want the cloud skybox, right? You download it from the workshop. The workshop has a lot of solutions. I mean, because of the workshop now, you can make like Fallout and Walking Dead maps and sci-fi maps, cyberpunk maps. You can get assets from all sorts of cultural different themes that aren't normally something in Dungeon Alchemist, and everything in between. So the first thing when you do a skybox, you want to make sure the collisions are off, right? And then zoom out as much as you can. And then essentially make sure you don't deselect the skybox until it's encapsulating the whole map. Huh. Actually blocking out all the light. Interesting. Did Skybox used to block the light like this? I feel like this is a new development. Oh, it's night outside, that's why. So we'll brighten it up a little bit. We had a token over here somewhere, didn't we? We do have a Discord, Mayor. So when you surround it like this, it goes right to the edge and it makes it feel a little bit more... I think it was because I was set to night. It was just so dark. That was the problem. So Mayor, if you go to my profile, if you click that, that goes to our, there's a link on it that goes to our website. And on our website at the bottom, there's links for our social media and Discord. Unfortunately, I can't share links in chat on TikTok, or I would. So when you're outside of this skybox, check this out. When you're outside of it, you can look in. It's like a one-way mirror, which means when you're above it exporting, right, it allows you to see inside. This is a great development because the first skyboxes were just a dome that encapsulated everything. So you needed 2 versions of the map, one for first person and, you know, cinematic cameras, and one for exporting. Now, essentially, you can still export. Oop. Take a moment. Big map. That's the way to do it. I mean, it's an object from the workshop. So we'll take a little bit of customization based on your map. All I do is center it on the map and expand it till it's larger than the boundaries of the map. It tends to work rather well. But notice it's not affecting the map at all on the export. So yeah, it's a custom thing. There are 4 skyboxes built into DA, and there may be more in the future, more weather options, more different skybox options. But for now, if you want to use the custom ones on the workshop, you just download the skybox from the workshop asset browser within Dungeon Alchemist. Make sure before you place it, your collisions are off, and then center it on the map. Make sure you're zoomed way out. Place it on the map, and then just expand it, expand it, expand it, until it encapsulates the entire map. You can move it around like this. Notice I have a lot of control over it. You can even delete it if you want. Oops. Official walls that support color change? Good question. I'm not sure. I do know that's something that's been requested on our upvote. I imagine with time it'll likely be addressed, but for now, probably not. I mean, it's one of those things that I think it's kind of tricky to do correctly, and that's probably why they haven't addressed it yet. Kind of figured that problem. Might line this sign with like a hedge. Then we can make a path go this way and do like another one here. Yeah, there's a centering function depending on the object you grab. If collisions are on, the majority of objects automatically snap into place, right? Or you can hold control and they'll snap into place depending on the grid. So I actually have been building this map by hand off grid, so it's not really centered on it. Does that make sense? I actually didn't do myself any favors. So sometimes you do have to do things by hand. But yes, by default, most everything centers and snaps into place very easily. It kind of, everything you build kind of builds to a grid and snaps to it. Swamp, there are quite a few on the workshop. There's some sci-fi ones and stuff like that, but you probably, I mean, just searching floor may be hard to find just everything you need. Like here's a sci-fi floor, white metal floor, sci-fi. There's a few that were uploaded. They were some of the first objects uploaded to the workshop. Here's another cable corridor, sci-fi. Elevated, hey, whatever works for you. Dungeon Alchemist is designed to be the ideal map maker for almost anyone. You know, you can quickly generate entire environments and maps in moments. You can spend hours building maps by hand, custom like I do, or you can go download maps from the workshop to save time. Or you can download maps from the workshop and then use them as a basis for your own maps. Just like a template, you know? If I do it like this, that'll allow them to. Thinking I'll put like a something here, like a tree or something. I need to fill in a lot of. That's how objects on the workshop are. They're all objects, my friend. None of them would be technically the same as the doors, windows, walls, and floors from these objects. The only two menus things from the workshop show up in are this menu, the object menu, and the token menu. So they act as objects. So technically, you can use them as flooring. You just place them by hand. So you wouldn't be able to generate none of the objects from the Steam Workshop work in the generation tools, and there's a reason for that. We don't own the licensing to any of these assets. The ones created by hand are the ones shared like third-party Creative Commons. So it adds some ethical issues if we add them into the room generation or other tools, right? Where it'll just work with the floor tooling. So everything from the workshop has to be placed by hand as it's an object. The sand texture is available in a couple of biomes, depending on the environment you're in. So when you start a new map, if you're, say, in the desert biome or the Badlands biome or the grasslands biome, you have access to the sand terrains. Currently, I'm in the forest biome on my map, so I don't believe I have access to any sand terrain. But it would be under this menu here, under this tab. So you would have to start your map when you're generating a new map. Every biome has different paints available in them, right? So in the jungle, you have different paints than you would, say, the forest or the desert. Hey, Lauren Zader, welcome back. How you doing, buddy? As I just said, Mayor, it really brings up some ethical concerns if we include objects from the asset importer in the workshop in generation because we don't own the rights to them or license them. Secondly, all of the objects on the workshop are configured very differently depending on the person. So if the, say, colliders on the object, the invisible bounding boxes around the object were configured poorly, in room generation, it might take up the whole room. There's so many variables that we'd have to essentially go over every object uploaded by hand, make sure they're configured correctly, and then plug them in. And then assume that the person who uploaded them actually owned the rights to upload them in the first place. There's just so much gray area where we could risk, like, you know, our brand or a lawsuit or stealing other people's art, which we don't want to do. Dungeon Alchemist's approach to map making and AI especially has been nothing but ethical. We pride ourselves on creating ethical solutions for development of AI and map making and the utilities around it. Tabstar, is there a way you can make them accessible? For right now, it's nothing I could change with the flick of a switch. There's a reason we have different terrains options in different maps. So essentially, the terrain tool has some limitations. The more terrain options you add in a single map, like as we add more terrain paints, the slower the map runs, and the terrain tool runs really poorly. So we wanted it to run optimally for the average user in our community, so we opted to have limited paint options per biome for now. So Steam polices themselves, right? And they say, hey, when you start sharing stuff on the workshop, you sign an agreement or you agree to an EULA, you know, end user license agreement saying you won't share anything like that. And we have some moderation tools and users can report things, but man, it's like a wild, wild west on the workshop for the moment right now. Because more often than not, I mean, when it's mods, people will copy other people's mods and make subtle changes. People will, when it comes to our assets from the workshop, people will find assets from third-party sites and upload them without crediting the original creator. And often that creator didn't own the license rights to the original asset in the first place. I spend a lot of time 3D printing and downloading 3D assets, and it is crazy out there right now because of that. Like an artist will make a model from scratch, but it's based on, say, the Infinity Gauntlet from Marvel. They don't own the licensing or the rights to the Infinity Gauntlet, but then they made it from scratch. So they think they own it and they upload it. But reality, they could get a copyright strike or a cease and desist for that. Does that make sense? Then someone in our community will take that and then share it on the workshop, and then Steam will either flag them or someone in the community can report it. At that point, yeah, it's the onus is on the end user to make sure they're not uploading anything shady. It does get difficult for sure. We encourage you to make sure you only upload assets you own, i.e. you created yourself, or have purchased the rights to use, i.e. you commissioned someone to make it for you. Alternatively, the only exception to that would be assets with a Creative Commons license attached to them that allow them to be shared. So a lot of creators that make 3D models will put a Creative Commons license on it, right? And that means you can share it as long as you don't resell it or you don't use it for profit. So as long as there's no profit involved, they're fine with it. But yeah, you get it. It's a boondoggle, man. It's a mess. And I'm sure Steam does their best to police it. And by them putting the end user, agreement in there, they cover themselves. If, say, the mouse comes in and starts striking people in mass, or some other company, then they're protected themselves. Does that make sense? So you as a user, make sure, if you recognize something that definitely would be copyrighted, report it or let us know, and don't download and use it. But if you know how to use Blender, man, you would be right at home with Dungeon Alchemist with the asset importer. You can import STL, FBX, or GLTF files. One of our community members actually made a Blender plugin that optimizes the exports to make them better for our importer. So you can essentially import custom models of your own and then supplement your map builds with those. And since you created them, you obviously own the rights, as long as you're not, stealing other people's art in the creation. Currently, you cannot make your own terrain brush. In the next portion of the update, Fun with Objects Part 2, which I don't have a date for launch yet, but it'll be Part 2 of the update we launched, 18 days ago. It will have a new tool in it that essentially it's a decal tool that allows you to put stamps on top of terrain. So one of the decals is like a snow patch. So you could put snow on top of the grass, making it seem like it's been melting, or there's little patches of it, right? So with that tool, you essentially can import custom textures and in essence make custom terrains. But currently we don't have an option to allow you to import a terrain to be used in the terrain tool right here. They're limited to the ones we offer. I do think, though, eventually they'll be improving this, changing it. Who knows? Maybe offering an option to import your own, or maybe allowing every terrain option in every biome, so you're not limited to just a handful per biome. When you import assets using the asset importer, it's local, and you can decide to keep the asset local and never share it or publish it on the workshop. It's all a local tool. So the assets can be kept 100% local, or you can decide to share them. Here, let me save a couple times and I'll show you. So this tool is our asset importer, right? Technically, you could import floor textures and stuff through this. When you import an asset before you share it on the workshop, it's labeled as local. Technically, all my assets are shared. But you can essentially set them to private so no one has access, but then they're back. You are the only person or admins for Dungeon Alchemist, i.e. me, can see them. Or you can keep them 100% local before you publish them, i.e. indicate that you're setting them to a visibility and then giving them. So essentially you can do these first 3 tabs, configure the asset, import it, give it all its information, categories it'll appear in the object menu, right? Or its collider information, and then you just never publish it. As long as it's never published, it's only in the local section. But yeah, make sure you go check out our demo if you haven't already. It's available on Steam. Check out our forest biome, build yourself a little tavern, see how it runs on your computer. But essentially, You can make custom floor tiles using the asset importer as long as you have the ability to make like 3D files. Or you can make custom floor tiles using the abstract objects as long as you have the ability to edit images. Aside from that, the options availability and stuff like that will get better with time, but for right now, that's all there is. Okay? Deciding if I could cram in one more grave there. So it's like almost over like lined with that one, but I kind of like leaving these spaces. So Dungeon Alchemist released in early access in April of 2022, and then we've been, slowly adding improvements, hot fixes, patches, and major updates, roughly every, 4 to 6 months on average, throughout the, development of Dungeon Alchemist. So our most recent update, Fun with Objects Part 1, launched on the 10th of July. Fun with Objects Part 2 will be our next update. Will include more object-related interactivity, functionality, manipulation, etc. We're hoping to include things like the ability to rotate an object on any axes, selecting objects as groups and moving them, creating custom groupings of objects called variants, saving them as a stamp and moving them between areas on the map, or even copying and pasting them between maps, sharing that grouping of objects on the workshop so other people can download it and use it. The next update, that's pretty much all I can say for right now, because I know it's a part 2 of the first portion of the update. I have a good idea of what the part 2 will entail. The problem is they don't 100% know if they can get those features working correctly, so it's a matter of them figuring that out first. But the stamp tool will definitely give you the ability to kind of manipulate the terrain more, and you can even stamp on objects. So you could put like cracks on this or dirt. You could put patches of leaves, snow, and you can import custom images. Eon, our roadmap is available on, if you Google Dungeon Alchemist upvoting. Unfortunately, I can't share links on TikTok, or I would, but it shows that our upvoting is a combination of our suggestion board and our roadmap. So you could see what we're currently working on and what we have planned out. But Dungeon Alchemist was kind of slated out since its inception because it started as a Kickstarter. Our Kickstarter had a number of stretch goals, and those stretch goals are our major updates on our roadmap. So the current stretch goal we're remaining after this Fun with Objects update part 2 is 4 major remaining stretch goals. So you have, in no particular order, by the way, this has no, indication of their release order. It's just simply their names. Tricks and Traps, Water Worlds, High Seas, and Instant Dungeon. So our Upvoty, it's a third-party site where we host our suggestion board and roadmap. I believe it is available. You can see it on our Steam. You can also get a link in our Discord. There may even be a link on our website. 1 minute. But like I said, if you just Google Dungeon Alchemist Upvoty, you'll find it pretty quick. Here, I'll share you what you just need to copy and paste. I wish TikTok allowed us to share links. On all our other platforms, we can share links, no problem. TikTok has to be the difficult one. I know, it's because they don't want you to leave their site. They're really possessive of their viewers and their attention spans, so they're afraid if you click on a link and go somewhere else, you'll never come back, apparently. You can have a single link in your bio, and it's to our website, which has a lot of links on it. If you go to our website, it has all our social media. It has, all sorts of other information. Our wiki, our link to our Steam page, our link to our Discord. If you scroll to the bottom of our website, there's a bunch of links. That's awesome, Eon. Thank you for the support. I appreciate it. Much appreciated. The link to the roadmap is on the top. Okay, good. Honestly, I don't spend a whole lot of time on our website because it's one of the few places that I don't have any influence over. I can't make any changes to it. Yeah, at the top of our website, it says roadmap. So if you go to dungeonalchemist.com, it says roadmap on the top. You can click it, and that goes to our upvote, our roadmap. Sorry about that. I should have known that. I literally have no control over the website. I can't make changes to it. I can't make adjustments to it. So I've kind of kept it out of sight, out of mind, so to speak. That's something that Wim and Carl manage. Noticing this pathway here is really good. So I'm probably just going to close it. Our team is very small. We're an indie team of around, I think it's 10 people last I checked. So I am the community team, an army of one, so to speak. And then we have our devs. Let's see here. We've got our lead dev, Carl, and then our lead artist, Wim. We've got Quentin, another dev. Let's see. Pietro, or Pieter is another dev. Our like GUI and like graphic effects artist Kenny also does some development, and then we have a couple of artists. I think there's like 3 artists, and then a couple administration. That's it. Very light team. The majority of our team's in Belgium. So just so everyone is aware, Dungeon Alchemist, and I know at a glance people might like, roll their eyes and stuff with this. Give me a moment to explain. Dungeon Alchemist uses AI to generate environments and to fill out rooms, but it doesn't use generative AI. It doesn't use anything like you're accustomed to with modern AI, like, you know, like ChatGPT or, you know, whatever, Midjourney. It's nothing like that, okay? It is a last-gen procedural AI. Not only is it last-gen, it was made entirely in-house. So our AI was developed entirely in-house using privately created data sets. It was trained on our own maps and assets. All of the assets used in the room generation or environment generation were created in-house by a talented team of artists that we love and, you know, compensate appropriately. So every ounce of DA from end to end that uses any type of AI was not only ethically sourced, but ethically developed. And at no point does it use any public art or maps or assets in it to help train it or to generate spaces. So we feel we took a very ethical approach, and I think it allows us to kind of stand out from some other tools that are on the market starting to kind of spring up. I'm based in the States myself. Yeah, I'm actually based in Vegas. I will say this, if you're trying the demo today, one thing I will say, there is a known bug right now in the current build, and our lead dev is out of town on vacation because we just pushed out the huge update and then like 2 weeks of patches. And this bug was only discovered like the day before he went on vacation. So if you're new to DA, just keep this in mind, and I'll educate you on the bug and how to fix it, okay? Whenever you load a new map the first time, you can just hit escape and click settings. And for some reason, this unsticks the bug. and fixes you up. You're good to go. But there's a performance issue where you get a major drop in frames until you do that. I don't know why it's happening, and our other dev team is looking into it, researching it, but I think they're going to need the lead dev to figure it out, to get it all sorted. So for now, it's a quick fix, a couple of clicks. So if you're noticing that DA is running a little sluggish for you, or you're dropping frames when you first load it, on any map, the first time you load the map, doesn't matter if it's the first time or the 100th time, make sure you just go to settings and then exit right out. Let me show you what I mean, though, is this is very much a prevalent issue, even for me, and I have a very powerful computer. Let me open up my Bastion. It is a well-deserved vacation. They worked really hard in the run-up to the launch. Dungeon Alchemist uses a combination of really all your assets, because it uses GPU, CPU, and your RAM extensively, depending on how many assets and lights and things present. And then additionally, you know, how many active animations, how big the map is, lots of things present can affect it. Ultimately, the more powerful your machine is, the more elaborate and large your maps can be. So notice here really quickly when I open this map, okay? I'll do it again just so you could see. Look at the lighting here. Look at the FPS. We're at 40. I already fixed it. I'm going to load it one more time. Right when I load this map, yeah, escape and settings, and then just go right out of settings. I don't know why this is happening, and it's way above my pay grade. The devs will definitely fix it when they get back. Look at the map, though. It looks dim. I'm getting 5 FPS, 7 FPS, right? It's very slow to access the menu even and scroll through it. But the second I do it, it lights up, everything gets bright, and then my FPS just jumps up. I swear I noticed this was happening. I'm like, what is going on? My map's fine, or it's really slow, and then I open the menu and it's fine. I made no changes whatsoever. You know, Mayor, unfortunately, because we're in early access, Dungeon Alchemist is only using a single core at the moment. I do hope we add multi-thread or hyper-threading at some point down the road, because it'll be a massive boost in performance and for everyone in our community. You know what I mean? But so the bug, to me, how it works is it seems like Dungeon Alchemist is defaulting to a higher setting until you open the settings menu, but it's defaulting to that setting, but not observing any of those settings parameters. It's acting like all of the lights are turned off, but it's at a very, like, ultra quality. Don't know what's going on. Hopefully the devs will sort it out as soon as, or, you know, as soon as Carl gets back, it'll get sorted out. Right, Mondu? But then the second I open the settings menu, it just, boom, jumps up. Here, let me open another map. Anyway, I'm trying to make sure everyone in our community is aware of this bug, because if you're running into the issue right now with performance, you're like, why is DA running so slow since the new update? That might be the issue. And it's a really simple fix on your end for now until we get everyone back into the office. But like right now, this map, not a huge map, right? Go to settings, look, I'm at 30 FPS. The lighting boosted, and now I'm double, 60 FPS. You kidding me? But yeah, this is a multi-level map, a great example of one. There's dozens, if not hundreds, of examples of multi-level maps on the workshop now, and they're amazing. So because of the size of this building, it does have a flat top almost no matter what. But there are over 60 roof types available, round and flat options. So you have like some wooden options, metal, you know, different tiles and things like that. By the way, it'll make different separated roofs over each room space. this roof. So each one of these could technically have a separate roof, each room, if you wanted to. Each hallway, technically, but if they're all the same roof, like if you have the same roof all the way across the top, they'll merge into a single roof. To go up and down levels, you can push the up and down arrows on the right side in your map, or you can use the plus and minus keys as a hotkey to jump between levels. Alrighty, let's get back to my map here because I only have about 5 minutes left, and I want to build for that last 5. It feels like it defaults above the maximum, but then none of the lighting is present. It looks like low lighting, but way above maximum graphics settings. It's like really awkward. At this time, they aren't really customizable. Deep in our like install file is like a JSON with all of the key configurations. The ones that are listed in there, technically you can change them, but we don't have a menu for keybind options to make it simple. So, I mean, if you feel bold, you could technically find that keybind file and change a few things in it if you want. Man, I put in a lot of graves today, actually. I'm feeling like really happy about the progress today. This section's filling in really nicely. Hey, for sure, Mayor, and feel free to swing by any of the streams and hang out. If you got any questions, you can always tune in and ask me, and I'll do my best to provide you assistance. It is like coming along nicely. I do think though these new grave types have really speeded this up. So these new graves that were included in the most recent update, they act as a variant. So whenever you press tab, they're a different one. Whenever you place one, they're a different one. There's like over 600 variations of graves. So it's going to be very hard to find 2 of them that are identical. It's like a different headstone. Hey, maybe I just want a different piece for this one, or maybe put one on there that's this. Maybe delete that one there. You can just change them up really quickly, and the headstones are almost all differently. And notice none of the headstones have a cross on them because we already had plenty of crosses, which people were kind of like confused about because in tabletop games like fantasy settings, usually Christianity isn't a thing unless you homebrew it in. So essentially, these could be non-denominational, any deity you want them to be. Hey, cool, Mayor. I'm glad you joined the Discord. We're able to find it. Thank you for hanging out with us on the stream. And yeah, the Discord is a great place to get support as well. In between streams, you can spin up a thread in our questioned forum or a support thread in our support forum. There are places to hang out and vibe with other GMs and bounce ideas off of them in GM chat. So if you have ideas for homebrew or encounters or stat blocks, etc. I know it isn't just limited to Christianity, but that's kind of the big one that it's tied to. So that was the main reason that I brought that up with Wim, is like, we have lots of graves, but the majority of them are all crosses, which I don't know if there's a single deity in like the pantheon of D&D or Pathfinder that uses a cross like this. Is there one? I may be incorrect. And prior to this update, you know, we did have some generic headstones, but a lot of them would be like this with like a cross or something on them. Granted, Atlam, that is a generalization on my point, my bad. Realistically, I'm just trying to point out that there is like tons of them with crosses and very few without. Adamix, thank you for the sub over on YouTube. Much appreciated, my friend. Welcome, welcome to the damn fam. So I guess that's kind of the point, is we had some like people bring that up, complaints, not necessarily complaints, more like just suggestions, concerns. They're like, hey, it would be great if there were more optional denominations that weren't necessarily tied to anything and could be whatever you want. That's all. But notice here, you've got like a face, a book, a bird, a skull, some hands, a scroll, different denominations every time. What are you trying to accomplish, Swamp? But yeah, Meyer, I agree. Or Mayor. Is it Meyer or Mayor? I want to make sure I say that correctly. Mayor, like John? Gotcha. Of a building on a diagonal, it has a second story. Need to get to the second story, but I have built a weird little triangle outcropping. Huh. If you spin up a thread in Discord in the question forum, Swamp, I could at least see the map or get a picture of it, like a screenshot, so I could see what you're talking about. I'm having a hard time visualizing this, so I'm having a hard time trying to assist. So I think the only way to do stairs at that angle is if the roof itself is at, or the building itself is turned to that angle. So like if you rotated or had an angled like wall on there that you could slam it up against. Right now, the stairs are kind of locked to the grid, right? So essentially you have to rotate the room. I know that seems so impractical. You actually rotate the room 45 degrees to get 45 degree stairs. It's so silly when you say it out loud. I do think that some changes for stairs are coming soon. The devs have heard everyone's kind of concerns around the loss of, stair, freedom, where you could put them wherever you want at, rescale them and things like that. Save work. Just clicking each time I do this to feather it back a little bit, because I don't want to like override and paint the whole. Like you could paint it in a long streak, but I find clicking just on these little outcrops a little bit more. Hey, Clinton, thank you so much. Appreciate it. How you doing today, friend? I gotta say, I'm a big fan of the Halo franchise. It was a big part of my, younger years. Me and my roommates used to play it a lot. And I also really enjoyed the Halo novelizations. I've been kind of rereading them again. I read them when I was younger, and then I'm rereading them now. So it's always good to see someone that's a fan of Wait, oh, I thought it said UNSC Spartan. Maybe I misread that. It may not have anything to do with Halo, but either way, sorry for that the randomness. So, like, I told the devs about everyone's concerns with the stairs, and like, Carl was like, "Well, I can't change it this close to launch, so there's not much I can do." I was like, "I understand." It's like it just should be something that we address relatively quickly after the update, right? And I think, we personally should just have freestanding stairs, which are like the old upstairs, give them a new label, let people use them, rotate them on any axes, resize them so they could be used in buildings or externally without having a building foundation somewhere for the stair to be 100% reliant on. That's my main concern, is it's like too much reliance on buildings and the grid to actually make a stair at the moment. What if you have stairs in like the environment, like wilderness, like stone carved stairs, or like ruins that have crumbled over an eon, or, you know what I mean? Like, we need more diversity. Stairs that, are any shape and size so they fit like a halfling aesthetic instead of just like some massive, or like a normal size building. We need giant stairs, we need halfling stairs, and everything in between. Caillou, have you reported it in the Discord, my friend? I would spin up a support thread, share the map, share images, video, your logs, anything you can in the Discord. That way we can track it. If there is already a thread in Discord, link it to me so we can get more attention on it, okay? I am multi-streaming on like 6 different platforms right now, Mayor. I'm live on Twitch, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, on 2 different versions of YouTube. Actually, we're portrait and landscape on YouTube, and then we're also, we were live on Steam until it crashed. Cobra, trust me, it was tighter over here. We called this area the sardine can. Sometimes people just can't afford a plot, and so they get what they're given. You know what I mean? My headcanon around this environment, this massive cemetery, is this community has a large amount of reverence for death, right? They have a lot of respect for the dead, and everyone in their community is given a grave, right? That's something that they're given for free. However, it's up to them, their family, friends, to dig and prepare the grave after their death, before and after their death. So depending on people's abilities, money, friends, family, they may have gone, or maybe there just wasn't anything of them to remember. They may have gone something simple like a columbarium or a vertical grave, or they may have just, dug a simple grave. Tabstar, what was your question? Krita, how to get to the top layer of an image and turn it into a paintbrush? I don't know how to use, is that a tool, Krita, right? I'm not familiar with that tool. Yeah, technically. So you would use your image editor and then you would import the image onto one of these like abstracts, these blank disks. So you could put an image into it. So here, let's say I wanted to make it a magic circle. I just insert an image of a magic circle, which this one was custom made. Maybe I wanted it instead to be here, a helix shell, which I've used in another map. Or if I wanted it to be a measuring tool, this is a great little, you know, it could be everything you want it to be, anything you want it to be. Doesn't even have to be a circle, technically. Here, let's put some blood in this one, like a puddle of blood. So essentially you would insert like a PNG into this and then it becomes a custom, you know, a custom, I guess a texture that you can put on your map. You could use this to make custom flooring, all sorts of stuff, but it could be essentially everything in between. Here, let's add some dirt. Oh, this one does not have a blank PNG, so that one won't work. I'm going to delete that. Deleted. When you save an image as a PNG, it can have a transparent layer around the outside edge. So the center portion of the image is just the highlighted portion while the image is still technically square. Technically, this is the decal beta. We'll have a whole new tab in the next update that'll show decals here. It'll come with a bunch of decals, you know, leaves, sand, snow, textures, symbols. And then you can also insert custom PNGs into that and use them as textures. Hey, see you later, Eric. Actually, I should take off soon, too. I think the stream's pretty much done now. Got a lot done, though. Like, look at this section. It is filling out quick thanks to these, because I started on this, like, 2 weeks ago. Got all this done, went over here, and we're just kind of slowly filling inward here. It's going to get a little tricky as we get over this way, but it'll work. All right, everyone. This particular map I've worked on about an hour or so a week, about a half hour, an hour a week for like 8 months. Because I only get like a little bit each week every Monday. I don't work on it in between when I'm not streaming. And when we're streaming on Mondays, the stream's AMA format, which means ask me anything. So if someone has a question or needs support, we'll drop whatever we're doing to answer their question. So often I get distracted and stop building for, 10, 20 minutes at a time. Hard to gauge exactly how many hours I've put into it, but I love building maps by hand. So to me, this is actually incredibly fun and therapeutic. It's so like cathartic for me to build like this. Hey, Chris, great to see you too. Yeah, this map has evolved from quite a bit. I mean, it started over here in this corner, right? Just this little entry, and then it's evolved. And I didn't really have an idea for the layout in my head. I've kind of just, freestyled it as I go. Slowly evolved a bit over time. Still needs some work here and there. Like I noticed this fence needs to be extended all the way over to the caretaker's cottage. Over here is, this corner is actually my favorite right now. This is the caretaker's cottage. This guy kind of digs all the graves, helps maintain all the plant life. Essentially the on-site guardian for the area. Oh yeah, the whole map is designed to be very navigable because I wanted this to feel like a real cemetery. And I didn't want it to feel like a little village cemetery. I wanted it to feel like a cemetery that's been evolving over centuries, has lots of different styles of graves, different areas. You know what I mean? What does she say about it, Cobra? Sorry. Hey, Yuna, how you doing? So I think next week I'm going to keep continuing this kind of pattern as we go down and keep adding graves more and more. And then eventually I'm thinking it'll have like a lot of these little kind of weird elbow bends like this all the way down. Yeah, I mean, exactly. And that's kind of the point of that stuff, right? If I think we all live very like stressful lives nowadays in the modern era, like first off, we're constantly like expected to be like hustling and making money to survive and, you know, getting ahead in this, you know, like it feels like we're running on a treadmill constantly. Just anyway, there's that. And then, you know, you work really hard, you have your family life and, you know, all of your other commitments. I think a lot of hobbies have been turned and kind of into like a hustle, right? Where they've been kind of ruined. I do think everyone should have hobbies that are just for fun, that there's really no point like monetarily, except for, you know, it's just for you to enjoy, right? And it's funny, I say that as I get paid to make, you know, I stream Dungeon Alchemist, but I think that's part of the reason I love my job so much is I found a job that I really enjoy and I love map making. I love map making since I was a young boy. Since I could learned about drawing maps on graph paper, I've been making maps. And I've made maps in tons of different video games. And so I get that vibe. Like if you find an art or a hobby, whether it's stacking rocks or, you know, cleaning up trash or, you know, riding a motorcycle, you know, find your passion, follow it and, you know, use it to keep yourself level headed and, you know, thriving. Hey, thank you for being here, Mayor. Nice to meet you, and hopefully, yeah, we will see you in the future. You're welcome back anytime. That goes for everyone. Had a lot of fun hanging out with you all. These streams, remember, they're a resource for you. So if, as you're learning Dungeon Alchemist and considering a purchase, or if you have had Dungeon Alchemist for a while and you're wondering how to accomplish certain styles of builds or certain aesthetics, or maybe you're struggling with an export or your map is having issues, tune into the streams. Anytime I'm live, feel free to drop questions, concerns, feedback, suggestions. Additionally, our Discord or any of our social media platforms are a great resource. So depending on your preference, you know, maybe you like Reddit, or maybe you're a Discord fan, or maybe you like both. Feel free to, you know, follow us in our Discord or subreddit or, you know, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, wherever you like. And we occasionally will post content in those places. And additionally, we'll share when we go live with streams. Our Discord, though, I will say is probably the best place for all information. It's the largest grouping of our community. It has our events section, which shows all the upcoming streams. We have announcements and, you know, upcoming areas where we share teasers and stuff when they're available. And you can get support in our Discord through our question forum or support forum pretty much any time of the day. You know, I have that same problem, but what I do is how I tame it is I jump around in areas of the map, right? So I'll be like going this direction and then I get bored before it's even done. And then I'll just jump over here and do this section, or I'll start doing some footpaths or start doing some, you know, different fences. So instead of just doing graves over and over again, like the repetition kills me, I jump around a lot. Hey, Strange, thank you for the Strange Orange. Thank you for the follow. Welcome to the Damned fam. Hope to see you in future streams. That goes for all of you. If you enjoyed the stream today, make sure you hit that like, follow, subscribe button, share if you can. As we are an indie team, our resources for advertising are kind of limited. So essentially word of mouth is how we grow the most. So you enjoyed the stream today, or you enjoy Dungeon Alchemist as a whole, make sure you share the streams on your social media, or let your friends know about it, let your DM pals know about it, etc. Streams are on every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. We stream Monday 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. UTC for roughly 2.5 hours. Wednesday is at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. UTC. That's exclusive to our Discord. That stream is called Office Hours. Because Discord can't be included in our multi-stream, we stream exclusive for them every Wednesday, so our community members there have a place to hang out and learn about stuff, get live tutorials from Professor Mac, etc. And then we stream every Saturday. The stream on Saturday alternates what the theme is every other week, though. So every other Saturday is what's called the Dam stream, and then the opposite Saturday is called the Dam Challenge. So we just had the Dam Challenge stream on this last Saturday. The Dam Challenge is a map making contest. It's ongoing every 2 weeks. We pick a theme during that stream, share it with the community. The current theme is magical disasters. We give our community 2 weeks to make a map of any shape or size using the theme as inspiration. You share that map in our Dam Challenge channel in our Discord. There's some rules pinned at the top for how to qualify and enter the challenge correctly. As long as you enter before the deadline and you qualify your entry by entering correctly, you have a chance to win a $10 Hero Forge gift card, and your map is the first map featured on that Dam Challenge stream, which gives a lot of eyes on it. Hero Forge gift card's nice because we have Hero Forge integration. You can link your Hero Forge account, import tokens that you've paid for, but if you get a token or two for free, it's always nice, right? The opposite stream, the Dam stream, is our upcoming Saturday. The Dam stream, we essentially look at maps and assets on the Steam Workshop, open them, check them out, see what they did, teach people how they did it, and provide real-time AMA support. So think of like our streams are kind of like a class or a course. You can tune in whenever it's most convenient for you, and then just raise your hand and ask questions, or watch and learn, vibe with other people. The winner from the last Dam Challenge was already announced. That was Swedish Cook. Swedish Cook won the Dam Challenge, and our next theme has already been announced and the deadline for it, which it's all in the Dam Challenge channel in Discord. But you have between now and August 1st, end of day in your time zone, so 11:59 p.m. in your specific time zone, to submit your entry. I really liked your entry, Swamp, by the way. It was really good. You really did really good job with Succumber. And like I said, I was impressed with how you took the flat, skylights and whatever, and made that nice kind of angled roofing that you patched together. It looked really good. Sorry I couldn't stay long at your stream. I was watching on mobile, kind of just watching while I was getting ready for dinner. Anyway, thank you everyone for tuning in. We got to wrap up the stream. So thank you everyone for being here. Had a lot of fun. Whether you were actively chatting, whether you were just kind of lurking in the background, silently watching and learning like a damn ninja, or you were one of our amazing moderators helping out today by keeping chat in order and sharing links and whatnot where appropriate and providing support for our amazing community members. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate you so very, very much. We're going to run a short Dungeon Alchemist themed ad, and then we're going to wrap up the stream. Remember, this is a Dungeon Alchemist ad, so please don't disappear because it's really funny and cool and I enjoy it. I actually helped write this ad, so I'm very proud of it. Be right, Bacon.
You stand before the long, dark road to the fabled realm of Doyak Ta, and before
What do we see?
I don't know, a goblin.
I kill him.
But before she does, I, Gilliam of Firth, demand to know the goblin's name.
Hi, my name is Woblin.
Where do you live there, Woblin?
I don't think that's relevant.
Well, but I, Gilliam of Firth, demand to seek the goblin's abode.
Clever, find family, kill entire bloodline. I like it.
Seriously, we're doing this? Okay, well, won't be needing that anymore, will I?
Ever get caught by your players with your pants down? Dungeon Alchemist lets you create wonderful maps for any encounter in seconds.
Oh, Woblin, that's a very impressive cheese collection you've got there.
Yeah, it is quite impressive, yes. But you know what's more impressive? This map I have to the fabled
Realm of Goyak Ta. Please take it and leave. Close the door behind you.
Mr. Woblin, I cannot help but notice that you have a secret tunnel underneath your cabinet. Care to explain?
Download Dungeon Alchemist, the AI-powered Mapmaker, on Steam today.
You stand.
Alrighty, thank you everyone for tuning in for the Mapmaker Monday stream and for watching our lovely ad provided by the amazing team at One for All / Deerstalker Productions. You may recognize them from their skits, One for All. They do really well on social media and YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Very funny group. They've done a couple ads with us. We're hoping to do another ad with them in the future. Just absolute pleasure to work with that group. Anyway, I'm sure that ad was relatable because many of you have probably dealt with it firsthand where your players threw you a loop. You had all this session prepped and then they're like, no, we actually want to go here instead. Anyway, that's exactly what that ad kind of feel is. It's relatable in that regard. We need a new ad though to demonstrate multi-level and roofing, don't we? Hopefully just as funny as the previous ones. Anyway, thank you everyone for tuning in. Again, my name is Mac, the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. We'll see you next time I give a damn. Mac out. Bye. I'm sure after watching it a dozen times, you'd get sick of it if it weren't relatable, right? At this point, the ad's more like one of those nickel phrases where it's like, if I had a nickel for every time I watched this ad, I'd have like 500 nickels. All right, see you later, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Back out.